Hello and welcome to my review pitting the two most recent third-party Nemesis Primes against each other. I'm going to be looking at ToyWorld's Orionvil and Make Toys or Make Toys Battle Series Nemesis. Who's the Nemesis battle tanker, essentially. And this is going to be part one of that two-part review, and I'm going to be taking a look at Orionvil first, because he's got a little bit more going on for him. So it's probably going to be a bit of a longer review. I am going to preface this before I go any further, though, by saying that if you've come here looking or expecting for me to tell you which one of these to get, look elsewhere, because at the end of this review I'm going to say the same thing I'm saying now, which is that these are both fantastic in totally different ways and look totally different. So it really comes down to personal preference, and you could probably get one or both. You're going to be happy either way. They're both really, really good products. So first up, I'm looking at ToyWorld TW-02B Orionvil, which I'm guessing is just a really lazy combination between the words Orion, which is the name of their original Optimus version of this, and Evil, I suppose. I can't really think of what else that could be. If that's what it is, wow, guys. Super creative. A+ there. So Orionvil is a really, really neat looking black truck. I definitely like this a lot more than the original version of the mold, to be honest. I think the Nemesis colors kind of work a lot better, and the blockiness and chunkiness make it look aggressive in a really good way. There have been a decent number of complaints, mostly about the, I think it was the original Optimus version, where some people had these panels switched. And it made it kind of difficult to pig all of this stuff in, or impossible, I think it would actually make it. Mine, as you can see, are both fine. You can tell the doors are the right way up and all that. So, do not have any problems with that whatsoever. He definitely is very patchworky in terms of the way that he transforms, and there has been a decent number of people complaining about, like, having to sneak panels under other panels and around other panels. I will say this. It is a more complicated transformer than maybe most people are used to, but it's not super hard, and there's a specific order that you have to unfold things in, and once you get that order down, it works in both directions, and it's perfectly fine. So there's really only one or two parts that I would say, hey, be careful there, but it's not as complicated as frankly, a lot of other reviewers have made it out to be. They're just kind of doing stuff in some weird ways that aren't necessarily optimal. See what I did there? Optimal. Here he is with a couple other third-party toys for a bit of a size reference. He's definitely a good size truck. And here he is with Classics Ultra Magnus and Generations RC. So again, really pretty decent scale. I mean, he ends up being a little bit kind of like a big Voyager. He's pretty chunky, and he's got a really well-scaled, kind of semi-Voyager, deluxe, middle ground kind of alt mode, it's very nice. And here are both Nemesises next to each other. So there's a pretty noticeable difference in size between them. They're clearly not really going for the same thing. And you can basically completely hide behind the other guy, so pretty different. But then again, this is a robot who dons a bunch of armor, and this guy just transforms alone as a one single thing, so bit of a difference there. His gun stores conveniently on his back. It pegs inwards that way using these two holes and these two pegs. It's really quite secure. So the transformation on this guy can get a little bit tricky, but like I said before, there is a specific order in which you can do things that makes it pretty easy, and once you get the hang of that order, it won't be that bad. So bear with me, and I will try to make sense of this for you. So you can start off by just kind of disconnecting these two chunks here, which will fold down like so. You can just kind of pop those there. They will eventually fold all the way down and form legs, but we're not going to deal with that right now. Then you just want to take literally this front bumper, which is on a kind of swingy armature thing, and you're going to disconnect it downwards. The two little things right there clip in. And then, again, you can just swing that down and kind of leave it there. And then this whole part right here is made up of a single panel. So what you want to do, and this is kind of one of the tricky parts, is you need to get this part separated like that. And that pegs in underneath here on the side, right there. I don't know if you can see that. Try to make this more bright. This peg pegs in underneath there, and then this peg kind of secures on there. So when you're transforming back, all you need to do when you're in this position is just fold this down and make sure that that peg's underneath there, and this is going to snap in by itself. So it's really not as complicated as people are kind of making it seem. So you want to do that on both sides. I will say it is, I mean, it's not super easy to get the leverage on that piece to get it out, but it's a strong, sturdy plastic, and these are on pretty good hinges, so I'm not super concerned with it. I don't feel like it's going to break at all. So apply a reasonable amount of pressure and it will pop open like that, and then you will be left with something like this. And then what you want to do is you're literally just going to push this entire grill thing back into the chest, and you want to make sure that these wheel wells don't get caught up on it. So you're just pushing this, and you have to kind of get it. Oh wait, sorry. I think you do want to disconnect these things first. Yes, forget about this. We will push that back in a second. Later. Because you want to free up all of this stuff first. So, behind here, this, you're kind of basically getting into like normal, kind of like G1 Prime transformation. These are just his arms kind of folded up behind him. So, you just want to kind of pull those out like so. And again, they will kind of disconnect from these wheel wells. And then these whole sections are basically just freed up on there, and they're pegged in right here. So that is when you can kind of work these windows up and out like so. And then once you have that, that's when you can push this back in. And like I said, you want to make sure that it clears these little black bits. And that will push in and become flat up against all the stuff on the inside. And then, kind of taking a cue from like Masterpiece Prime, these things are going to fold up like so, and actually slot around this grill and form up his abdomen like so. And then you can just fold this down, that will snap in place, rotate that around, and then I guess we can work on his legs a little bit just so we can have him standing up. You're gonna pop that back up. This whole bit is gonna come out and rotate around like so, and then pop back in, and that's when you want to pop this down, and it's going to peg in, I think in two places. These kind of lightly suggest pegging. It really just pegs right here though. And then this bit is going to spin around like that. Sorry. It starts off on the side of the leg like this. You spin it around like this, and then fold it over the leg to cover the wheels. And then you fold out his heel and his toe, and there you have his leg. So you do all the same stuff on the other side. And he also has these little bottom panels on his legs that you can fold up however much you like once you get him all standing and stuff. Now up here, you can just straighten these arms to get them out of your way. I think this just folds back onto there, I'm fairly sure. And then what you are doing here is you are going to split this little wind vane thing like that, And basically just keep these facing the same way as you spread those apart. And then these, where they started off up like that and flat, you're going to put them in this orientation, like so. And match them up with the pegs and peg that stuff back in. And then I think you were supposed to fold this little black thing in like that, I believe, but it doesn't always sit perfectly well when I do that. And then you want to fold these back in, and since they're pegged into a different thing, they'll kind of form at a cool angle, like so. And then, I'm trying to remember how you do this. You have to rotate this bit. Up like that, I believe. Yes. Oops, I think. Yes. And once you point those up, these are going to fold in like so. Now, these pegs that are on kind of free pins are going to peg into the backs of the shoulders. So you have to line those up like so. And sometimes that is a little bit difficult, but not really. There you go. I think you are actually supposed to have these the other way. Yeah, because they're supposed to be invisible. Yep. So you have those like that, and then you can kind of position these. I think it usually kind of has them at an angle. And then you just want to pop out his head, which is actually kind of difficult sometimes, but not super. And then he just has the standard kind of open the back and spin it out type hands that so many Transformers have. I think this hand is kind of tight if I remember correctly. And then this thing you can fold up. Well, first off, these little side bits fold in, and then you can kind of fold it up onto his back if that doesn't bug you. I've seen other people try to like fold it up there if they want to have it out of sight. This does not bug me at all, and it kind of gives him some like hip grenade looking things, so whatevs. Your mileage may vary. And then his arms kind of do this very, very subtle thing where the two panels kind of go out at an angle. Not very much, but just a little bit. And then there you have him in his robot mode. And you can give him his very, very, very super prime ion blaster-esque weapon, which is delightfully solid, not at all hollow. Very well made. And there you have him. I mean, I almost feel like there's not that much to say. This thing looks fantastic. A+, 1,000 A+s and thumbs up and yes pleases. I mean, I love this thing. It's awesome. It looks really super primey, but also kind of super menacing, and I'm just really a fan of it. So, awesome. He's got a great head sculpt. I think it might be the same one that everyone hated on Prime that actually ends up working a lot better on him, but I'm not sure because I don't own their Orion figure. But this guy definitely has a whole lot of attitude. Here he is with Combiner Wars Breakdown and Motormaster. So he ends up being a little bit taller than most Voyagers, which is pretty good, especially since his alt mode kind of started off as like a mid-deluxe Voyager size. Here he is with some of the members of Unique Toys Abominus Terracons group. And just for fun, because I'm sure someone wants to see how he scales with Masterpiece, here he is with a couple MP figures, like MP10 and MPG2 Sideswipe. The answer is he doesn't. For articulation, this guy's pretty decent. His head, unfortunately, doesn't really lock in place, so it's kind of on this floating pedestal thing, but it's tight enough on mine that it's not really a problem. It's not like it falls back or anything, but meh. It's got full rotation, but not a ball joint. Just for a closer look on the head sculpt again. Very nice looking. His shoulders have full rotation, but these little back wing things can definitely end up getting in the way, and so can some of the tabs. So there is a little bit of tab rubbage going on, but you can also kind of move some panels around depending on how you want things to look. Yeah. He is ratcheted outward, upper arm swivel, elbow, hand, and then, I mean, I guess he's got a little bit of wiggle there for transformation. Those are super ratchety ratchets. He has waist rotation, but obviously you will kind of gimp that if you're one of those people who has this up there. He has pretty firm, they're like ratcheted universal joints in the hips, upper leg swivel, very strong ratcheted knees. He's got some knee pad articulation. It's got a ball joint on his foot, and it's also on a swiveling peg. Well, lots of stuff you can do there, and then he's also got some kind of heel articulation. And his hip joints actually move out of the way to accommodate his legs, which is nice. I also just realized I totally forgot to show off, and I actually forgot to even do it on the left side. After you have him transformed, his arms actually start down there, and there's a little, I don't know, you can kind of barely see it in there, but there's a little rotating thingamabob that you kind of push up and around like that, and it puts them at normal shoulder height, so he doesn't look like he's shrugging. Sorry. Before I wrap up, there's a bit of a hidden feature that I have not touched on yet. I'm guessing you kind of saw it during transformation because it was flapping all over the place, but inside of his chest there is a matrix, and it's kind of like a cool squared off red evil matrix. So I don't know what this is supposed to be. Maybe this is like the Decepticon matrix of being an ass or something? I don't know, because I don't technically think... I don't know what that's supposed to be. I don't really care what it's supposed to be. It's cool, and it was there on their Orion figure, so they put it in here, and I appreciate that, so... So I definitely think this guy is awesome. I mean, he's definitely a little bit more on the expensive side, but he's a really good size. He's made really well. He's very solid, good construction. I don't feel like any of the parts are super breakable or flimsy. Even the few parts where you are kind of like tabbing things into other things, they're all very solid tabs. It's very nice plastic. So the only two really quality control issues I can say is that there's a little bit of a paint wipe on the front of my gun from this like crazy turquoise plastic. And I think there was some like a little bit of like silver or white speckling somewhere on the front of my truck, but it's a Nemesis Prime. I don't really care if he's got some like wear on him. I mean, he's a bad guy, so I don't need him to be like pristine and clean looking, so it doesn't really bug me at all, and I could always just kind of scrape that off. I really haven't even cared. I forgot it was there until this review, so he's very good. I have really zero complaints about this figure at all. I'm very happy that I waited and did not get the Orion version and waited for the Nemesis version. It is kind of a shame that these don't fold down a little bit more. You can kind of like tuck them into each other like that, but it ends up just kind of looking awkward and uneven on the back, so you can do any number of things depending on what you want. I mean, that works, kind of. But I don't mind them kind of being up a little bit. I just keep them like this. Kind of gives them a little bit of a visually distinctive appearance, so I'm fine with that being like so. But that is obviously personal preference. What is not personal preference is that you must like this figure. No, really though, I don't really see why anyone would not like this figure other than money. That's really the not wanting to drop like 70, 80 bucks on a figure or whatever this thing is. I don't remember. That's really the only reason I would see that. But this was really worth it. I had no Nemesis Primes in my collection, and then I couldn't decide, and I got two different ones because they are very, very different. And this guy is the first of those two that I will be reviewing, and he's fantastic. And thank you for watching. I will see you for the Make Toys Nemesis Battle Tanker next, so stay tuned.